Hello, welcome back to Boxing This Week. It's been a slow week for boxing, but we're still here. It's me, it's Paolo, Boxing Corner Casuals, as per, who's just done an interview with Ellis Zorro. Go check that out. I will be watching that, well, maybe after this, although the football's on, so very soon, but you should also go and watch it. Also did one with Savage Dan, I believe, very recently, which was
Yeah,
also, I've seen some of the
yeah.
clips from that. That looks very good.
He's just preparing for the big card on Saturday, isn't it? So
Yeah. And that's basically what we're talking about today. Really, I mean, not a lot's happened. The only thing that has happened that's worth noting is Michael Hunter versus Cassius Chaney, which was for the WBA heavyweight eliminator. That's not going to get fought because that it's all tied up anyway. Michael Hunter won. Who cares? Like, I'm trying to be really nice, but it was not a big event.
yeah, I hear it, man. Like I'll be honest with you, I didn't even know he was fighting.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, he's
I'll have
called
to
out
go back
Usyk
up.
afterwards, but we've already seen how that goes. Hunter's obviously
Yeah.
fought him at Cruiser. It's just not. It wasn't a big event, to be fair. Like, it wasn't promoted that much anyway.
What was
But
it? What was it? Like a 2,000 seater, 3,000 seater, small hall.
honestly, mate, couldn't tell you. I knew it was happening. That's kind of enough. The fight didn't really interest me. I've heard it wasn't the best. It was very one-sided,
Yeah.
and it won't. It's not like that eliminator, rightly or wrongly, isn't going to lead to a world title shot anytime soon. So it's almost not much you can even say about it.
Yeah.
We'll just go straight to the main thing that is happening. Or one thing I will say actually is it's can be confirmed this week. Naoya Inoue will not fight in Wembley in September. Eddie Hearn has now
Ah,
confirmed that that won't happen. Apparently, there was a bit of a. It could be a time disagreement. I'm not quite sure, but Inouye's just not wanting to do that in
yeah.
Wembley, or maybe didn't want to be a co-main event. To be fair, it's kind
Okay.
of justified, but it's not looking likely. Doesn't mean that
Okay.
he won't fight ever in England, or again rather, but he's not fought in England actually. Did he fight in Scotland? He's fought in the UK, I think, but not in
Hmm.
England. But it could still happen, but just not too soon. We're gonna straight to the only thing that's really
Before you
going on.
mention that, though, there is Javante Davis and Frank Martin this weekend.
That's a very good point. I thought, oh my God, I've been watching all the build up as well.
Yeah, I know, I know, I
It's
know.
the
No, yeah,
first week I've done my notes. Yeah,
honourable shout out to Javante and Frank, man.
yeah,
That's probably the
yeah.
big. Like, to be fair, that's probably. I'm gonna say it. Like, maybe not for the UK, but like for boxing, it's probably a bigger fight this weekend just because it's Javante Davis's return. So I
Yeah.
would say it might be up there as the biggest. Obviously, Riakporhe and Billam-Smith's a big domestic fight, but I think
Probably won't in numbers outside
the
the UK.
biggest
Yeah.
fight is going to be Javante, which UK fans will stay up to watch and US fans will watch.
Yeah. No, I'm staying up for that as well. Benavidez making his debut at light heavy as well
Oh
on the
shit! Benavidez
co-main.
is on the
Yeah,
card as
yeah,
well.
yeah. So that's a
Yeah,
big fight.
that's a bigger card with all due respect. But yeah,
Yeah. We can talk about that. I mean, if I'm being completely honest, Benavidez is fighting Alexander. Oh, I want to say I honestly can't pronounce it. That's
Gavotsky, I
yeah,
think it
yeah,
is.
yeah.
Yeah,
Um, it's a good fight. What, £7 additional weight to a
good
guy that's like six foot
introduction.
three?
Good introduction to the light heavy for Benavidez. I don't know what his intentions are, but how he wins this fight could be a big message to the other light heavies in the division.
Yeah,
I think he's going to be a problem for a lot of the domestic ones in the UK. Not saying that they won't take the fight because they all will. They definitely will.
yeah,
Yard, Buatsi, Lindenhoff, all them guys I'm saying will not shy away from fighting anyone. You know what I mean? Linden just got in the ring with Dimitri Bivol. So,
yeah.
but he just throws another spanner into the woodworks of another big light heavyweight name coming into the division and probably going to go right near the top as well, just because of his respective rankings in the division below. I don't think they'll place him too low.
Nah, well, they're talking basically him versus the winner of Bivol Beterbiev. Maybe, and obviously there'll probably be a rematch for that. Although Beterbiev's age, who knows? But Benavidez is going to get put straight through.
Yeah.
Um, assuming he wins, which I imagine he will. He struggled to make weight at 168 before. I imagine 175 is very comfortable, probably
Yeah.
even more comfortable. We might even see a better Benavidez than what we've been seeing recently. So I think he'll win.
I
The
think
main event
he's
actually
trying to
interests.
reach he's trying to reach. Sorry to interrupt. He's trying
Yeah,
to
yeah,
reach
that's fine.
for the Canelo fight, which unfortunately, as bad as it sounds now, it isn't going to happen. Move on, just do something else.
Yeah,
Because I'm sick of hearing about it now. Like we was talking about it before, but realistically, it's not going to happen. Who gives a shit?
yeah,
That's my attitude now. Like I'm like, we got the Saudis making fights left, right, and center. If I don't watch Benavidez and Canelo, I'm not going to stop watching boxing. Can I be honest with you? That's where I'm at with it now.
yeah, yeah.
If it
Agreed.
happens, if it happens, it happens. If it isn't, people just stop whining, man. There's so many good fights on TV. We're talking about what ifs and if whats. I'm just sick of it. Canelo and
Yeah,
Benavidez, if they're fighting or not now, great. If not, no one really cares. Crack
yeah,
on, do what you need to do, and
yeah.
fans
Exactly.
move on because you're not going to see it.
The only thing I
Sorry,
will
yeah, I just
say,
had to say that.
I think Canelo has ducked him, but I will also say,
No chance, man.
I mate, I,
Listen.
no, no,
You
no, 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 no,
can't.
no. I'm saying it. I'm saying it. The reason maybe not ducked. Duck's quite a harsh word. It's got bad like
Canelo can't.
connotations.
You look at his record. It's the opposite of a duck. It
No,
is.
agree with that. Best resume in boxing currently by like landslide. My point is, I think he doesn't need to fight Benavidez. And Benavidez is that's not just a hard fight. You're fighting somebody that's going to weigh however much more than you. He's like Canelo's not the biggest guy anyway. Benavidez is what, 6'2"? Like, he's a massive
Yeah.
don, massive
I've.
168.
mm,
I think Canelo's earned the right to say, do you know what? I'll fight the best guys who are like my height and reach and have their own pool and all this. He'll
yeah.
fight the Charlos. I
Yeah.
imagine he'll get in there with Crawford.
Yeah.
What's the point in fighting
Let's
Benavidez?
let's 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 just say it black and white. Canelo's at a point now where he's fought the top guys for a number of
Yeah,
years. No one can say anything to him. He's
yeah,
done everything that he could. People could only half achieve what Canelo's achieved in boxing.
mm,
Let's be honest now. He's going to take 3 or 4 fights. He's going to make a shitload of money and he's going to retire.
yeah,
He's looking for the fights that bring him more of this
mm.
and more of this. And if you don't bring him this, you can be Muhammad Ali reincarnated with a wig. You ain't fighting Canelo.
Yeah,
Do you see what I'm trying to say?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's I don't know
That's
how
the
else to
thing.
put it, man.
He had his asking price for Benavidez. It was like 50 million, something like that. I mean, that's like absurd. But now with the Saudi Arabia money, maybe that's not.
Yeah.
Realistically, if Canelo gets in there with Crawford before the end of his career, nobody can chat to him anyway. Whether win or lose that, I do think he'd win because of the weight,
Um,
but win or lose, nobody can chat to him.
Canelo has outrightly said he won't fight Crawford for any amount of money. Even Turkey's offered him apparently.
Oh, I don't
And
believe that until I
I
see.
believe it because I think Canelo. What people have to remember is that Canelo is not a mere mortal man. Yeah, this
No,
guy is he's on Olympus. Yeah, he's boxing royalty, and that's Canelo status. Terence is also getting to that mountain, but in terms of what when you talk about yes, Terence is a two-way unified champion. Him and Inui and Usyk are the only ones to do it, but he hasn't had the career that Canelo's had.
no,
So, like, no, realistically, none of these guys can chat to him. But I respect Benavidez calling him out. Listen, the young lot have to call out the best. They want to be the best, but yeah. I don't know. Terence isn't young, obviously, but I just think the fight is again. If we see it, we see it. If we don't, it's not an amazing fight. Like I'd be interested to see it, but realistically, we're watching a fight where one guy's stepping 2 weights up, fighting at a
yeah,
very big disadvantage. The fight's not on an even playing field. It's an advantage for Canelo, and you're giving essentially one of the boxers' greatest, if not the greatest, Mexican boxer of all time, an advantage. I don't know, man. And
I
people might
agree.
say
I agree,
people as
but
well, and I'm just saying that in there as well. He could go down as the greatest Mexican boxer.
that's oh, he could,
He
but it
could.
depends. It depends how the end of his career goes. It does depend, but if he beat Crawford, I mean, I know you are rightfully saying he has a massive advantage in that fight. And I know you're also saying he's saying he's not going to do that fight. I struggle to believe that. I think if Turkey Al Sheikh wants that, Turkey seems to get what he wants.
Canelo's GOAT. He don't like having an advantage. He likes fighting at a disadvantage. Hence why he's moved up. Do you hear what I said there? He likes fighting. He likes a challenge, yeah? He doesn't believe that Terence Crawford brings him a challenge coming up 2 weight divisions. He said himself, if I beat him, people just say I beat the littler guy. That's what people say. But if Canelo beats a light heavyweight, like he wants to run the Dimitri Bivol fight back, if he beats light heavyweights, which he's done before, Kovalev, then people go, fucking he's moved up another division. And what's that? His 6th division? If you move up 4 or 5?
5, I want to say. I think.
Yeah, so it'd be his 5th.
I don't know. Actually, I don't know how many divisions. I think it might be. I say only, but I think it might be only 4. I don't think he's done. Like, obviously, what he has done at those divisions is nuts. But
if he beats the thing with Canelo, he's sick. I'll tell you why. Yeah, if he wins at light heavyweight, best believe that guy will move up to cruiserweight. Like he's sick. He's sick. He's sick. Yeah. And I'm telling you now, there's certain man like that. You can't chat to them. Like you can't. There's certain men who have earned so much money in the sport that enticing them into a big fight with loads of money, as much as they want to earn money, they want to pick. I don't know if it's money for him will pick the fights. Does he need the money? Not really. But obviously, would you mind fighting for 150 million? Probably.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But yeah.
There's no point too much going too much into that, but we are talking like if he gets involved with the Saudis, it's career high paydays every fight for him.
Mm-hmm.
We'll just move on to the main event in America. Tank versus Frank Martin. People are really writing off Frank Martin, and I'm guessing they've never watched him. It's a hard fight. It's a really hard fight.
I think people are being very harsh on what they've watched of him, if they are, because there's a lot of videos of him surfacing of sparring and all these sorts of things, of clips of him when he was probably very unexperienced. But I've watched Frank Martin a little bit, and I like him, and I think it'll be a good fight. But I just think this is Gervonta, man. Gervonta Davis is a different beast. It's going to take a lot to beat him, and he's going to have to send Gervonta Davis to a place that I don't think many boxers can send him to. You can't win mental battles with him outside the ring.
No.
In the ring, he's got strength. He's quick. He's perfect for that weight. But also, you can't get into his head. It's impossible. He's like a puzzle missing a piece that you've got to send back to the shop, and you're waiting 4 weeks for another one to turn up because that puzzle's got to be finished. So, like, you don't know where that piece is, and you don't know when you're getting the new puzzle, man. But and you don't know if you're finishing it as well. So Gervonta Davis is unreal. I remember watching him come over to the UK in front of a whole crowd at the Copper Box and get absolutely booed. And he come in, he laughed at every British fan in that arena. He went in there and he knocked their boy out. And I say their boy, and I mean the boy, like all the supporters in there. He knocked our English fighter out. There's only a few men that have done that, that waltz into somebody else's country, backyard, and just take the title convincingly as well. Do you know what I mean? Look what Floyd Mayweather done to Ricky Hatton in Manchester. Press conference, Manchester United top he was in, winding all the fans up, turned up to the fight. Done what he done to Ricky Hatton. Ricky Hatton was one of the biggest fighters at the time to be coming out of this country for what he was doing and the noise he was making. And Floyd Mayweather put the fire out on him, man. And, Ricky Hatton was a quality fighter anyway. But Gervonta Davis just has that stardom, man, in and outside the ring. I think he's taken Floyd Mayweather's blueprint on how to do certain things, and I think he's really took it in, even though they're not really getting on. But when they were, he's really taken in points you can tell that Floyd Mayweather's passed down to him. Unreal boxer for me. I'd be interested to see that Ryan Garcia and Gervonta Davis rematch though, because my one criticism of him is he does like rehydration clauses in his contracts for his fight.
That's true.
And I think that also plays an advantage to him. And Frank Martin looks depleted at the moment already. And he's not even done weighing. He has done weighing. I ain't seen the weighing yet, but he just in general, he looks really depleted at weight already. He don't look comfortable.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Gervonta Davis always fills out at this weight. And he looks good at this weight to fight. Whereas Frank Martin, I just don't think I'm gonna go like for a mid fight stoppage.
I mean, my problem is you can't really bet against a guy that can box and punches harder than most people in the world. So
Yeah,
I'm going for Tank, but I do think Frank Martin will give him a good
I
fight. I
think
imagine it will
people
go
being
very
disrespectful
similar.
with him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it'll be very similar to most of Tank's fights, where maybe on the cards he's actually losing, but he's just sort of in his shell, watching and sort of learning the patterns. And then once he's got that timing down, I mean, we saw it against Garcia. I know Garcia was horrendously dehydrated and he looked like thin.
shit.
Yeah, he looked shit. But the minute that Tank got that timing down, which I mean, that was only the second round, really,
Yeah.
the fight was done.
The only
But Martin
question
is
I
solid,
got,
though.
yeah, go on. The
Martin
only
is
question,
solid.
yeah, there he is, and I know we've got to move on to other talking points quick. But I know one more thing I will leave people with is I know that Martin, I think will hold a good account of himself, but I just think he'll get knocked out by Gervonta Davis just because Gervonta Davis does that not just to Martin but to most boxers he meets. But the one thing I will say is it's interesting to see how that power carries up if he was to move to 140 plus
Mm.
147, how that power goes up to there. He's already called out like Conor Benn, who fights at 147. Do you know what I mean? These guys are fun. I don't know. I'd just be interested to see him move up now. I think he's the best at his weight. I don't think anyone's beating him. Go and challenge yourself, man.
Yeah, that's probably the only criticism you can give of him is that he hasn't, for a guy of his size, like his record, everything. The next step after Frank Martin is to then move up,
Yeah.
or go for every belt. But even that, I don't think that's that interesting because we all know he can do it. That's the problem.
Mm.
But I guess it has its selling rights. We'll move on onto the UK domestic scene. We won't talk about every fight, but we will talk about start with Ben Whittaker versus Ezra Aranyeka.
Yeah.
It's hard to say anything other than Whittaker's going to outdo him.
Before we start, because I'm assuming you're going to talk about the Aziz Whitaker and Chris Billam-Smith fight.
And Chamberlain as well, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to give a big shout out to her just because that's my people there, man. Fran Hennessy.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I've told you, man. Me and her brother were having a chat the other day about potentially. Listen, I can't disclose what we was talking about, but it was. Do you know what? I'm going to tell the viewers it's funny, but I can't disclose what depth conversation was going into. Me and Michael Hennessy were talking about a little sport. So like you get chicken fighting in Mexico.
Yeah.
Yeah, we was talking about. So we saw one, but they do it in, and I don't know what country it's in, but a guinea pig in the middle and it runs out. And you can win money off of it. So yeah, it's like a roulette table, but with guinea pigs. So we have depth conversations about it. But anyway, going back to the Hennessy's because I went massively off there. I think I'm really excited to see her finally get on TV.
Yeah, true.
Because she weren't on the last card. That went down to
annoying.
Boxer, but that was down to Sky, which I think was a bit out of order, considering the fact that people don't realise as well. Yeah, I know at that level you don't necessarily is it counted because they're all kind of big stars. I don't think ticket sales count massively at that level because if you're fighting on a boxer card, chances are you've got big support already. You can sell tickets, etc. But Fran sells tickets. She's probably her, Ben, Vidal, Riley are probably the social media people in that boxer conversation, like the real social media people in terms of that. I think they've got really reactive audiences. Obviously, Vidal's probably the biggest YouTuber on that platform just because of all the YouTube he does outside of it. But Ben amasses a stupid amount of followers. That all adds to the promotion of the fighter. So I like talking about Fran. I'm really glad that she's got a big challenge as well against a very experienced fighter, Darak. I can't pronounce. I don't even want to butcher the second name, but Darak. I've been speaking to Boxer and a couple of people, and it's going to be It's going to be another step up for her. So it'll be our fourth fight. And you just have to keep having these learning fights. But sorry, I just wanted to give a shout out to her quick because I know she's fighting tomorrow. Go on.
And I know I've heard that her ring walk is meant to rival Ben Whittaker's. So there we go. That's the social media.
Well, she's asked. I don't know when this is going to happen, but she wants to. She's going to do a ring walk at some point, and I reckon she'll have. I've said to her she's got to get Mick Hennessy on it, and get on the ring walks and stuff like that, and get her dad dancing down the ring, doing the candy, and just bring the whole family. It'd be unreal. We joked around. I said, "Oh, would you come on stage?" No, listen. I'm not very fearful of many things doing camera stuff, but I think that's probably the scariest thing I'd ever do if I was ever to be asked to do anything like that. But I'm a big supporter of hers anyway, and I just like young talent coming through, and it's good to see. And I've interviewed loads of amateur female boxers, Viv Parsons, who'd be another pro turning over soon. Yeah. So I think you've got to give these people a shout out as well because she's only 19, and look what she's doing. So yeah, sorry, go on, carry on.
No, she's doing great. You're right. We'll move. Yeah, Ben Whittaker's fight. I imagine Ben Whittaker will dominate it, but we don't know. I don't know anything about this guy, and I'm keeping it that way because I'm going with the pure.
Well, he's going to be a doctor.
Press conference. He's going to be a doctor.
No, being serious. He's doing his PhD at the moment. So he'll be a qualified doctor by the end of the month. Huh. Interesting fact for people there. Yeah. So the surgeon is actually meeting a qualified doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's impressive. To be a pro boxer as well as a doctor, that's very impressive.
But saying that though, Ellis Sora, who I interviewed yesterday, went to uni and come out, and he's got obviously whatever he got his degree in, and people do it, man. Like they do it. It's people don't earn. Boxers don't earn as much unless you're really, really, really at the top as people think. Like a lot of people think they've been on TV twice. Now they could lend me a few quid. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. No,
and it's not the case. And it's like a lot of fans think, oh, he's been on TV twice, so he'll lend me a tenner. And it's like, nah, don't work like that, mate. So yeah. Like a lot of these fights, you know the crack anyway, Connor. It's not what people see. It's not like football, and I think people use football as a basis to what boxers earn, and you just shouldn't use that because it's a different comparison, isn't it? But yeah, Ben Whittaker v Ezra. Round one. That's all I've got to say about that.
Round one. Okay.
Round one.
Have you watched any of Ezra?
I've watched a little bit of him. Looks stiff, looks slow. I'm going to say maybe round two because I think Ben Whittaker will play with him for a bit, like he's like a cat plays with their food. Like I'm being serious. Like I think this is a massive mismatch. I
agree with that. It's good.
I can't knock him. He's Nigerian light heavy champion.
Yeah, I think so. 10-0, decent knockout rate, but it's the guys he's fighting.
Again, we talk about padded records, man. TT Wilder. So yeah, but I think Ben Whittaker might toy with him for a bit and then get him out, or will Ezra leave himself open to get out early? It'd be interesting, but I don't think this fight goes longer than maybe I'm going to say 3 rounds. But I wouldn't be surprised if he knocked him out in round 1.
That's fair. I'll hold. I like Ezra. I like the things I've heard about him, especially the dot stuff, but also other stuff. I like how he holds himself. I'll give him. It's hard to go past 4. I think it'll be. I don't think it'll be a good fight, if I'm being honest. Unfortunately, I think he'll probably realise that he's in there with a bit of a different level and make it quite scrappy. I'll go like round 4, but we'll see. I just don't expect too much from that fight. The fight that I expect a lot from, Dan Aziz's comeback fight. Dan Aziz is great to watch anyway. Not sure there's too much to say about that, but I love Dan Aziz.
There isn't much to say, but I will say one thing. It will be experience fight. He's got a tough opponent in there in terms of just somebody who's done a lot of rounds, and that's what Dan Aziz needs. So I wouldn't expect people to necessarily see a knockout straight away, but I think this fight he'll go through the gears and then he'll dispatch him out later on.
Yeah, it'll be good. I mean, Dan Aziz is great to watch anyway. Always pressure fighter. Always good watching pressure fighters. And Dan Aziz is one of the best pressure fighters. Obviously, Boatsy beat him, but Boatsy's a brilliant fighter anyway, so it's kind of fair enough. And that was a great fight. Then we go Isaac Chamberlain versus Jack Macy. That's a properly good fight. That's probably my fight of the night. That's what I'm predicting will be fight of the night.
What's your prediction, mate?
I think Chamberlain will win. I don't think Jack Macy's maybe as good as he's being hyped up to be at the moment. I do think he's very good, but I don't think he's as hyped. His best performances against Parker when he lost.
Jack Massey is it Macy or Massey?
Might be Massey, honestly. I might be.
Yeah, Massey. Jack Massey is the power puncher in this fight, but Isaac Chamberlain is the boxer. That's one way to put it. Not saying Isaac Chamberlain's got power, by the way, but I just think the way that Bobby will get him is just a good performance, control. It'd be like Lawal again. If that'd be an ideal scenario for them, like as coaches, Conor and Bobby. It's a Lawal like 2 where they just dominate the fight, win clearly, so there's no argument, and then move on. But Jack Massey has put a lot of emotion into this, so I don't know if he'll come out and let that emotion run into the fight. And if he does, he might leave himself open for Isaac to obviously capitalize on. I don't think Isaac's too bothered about the whole fight, but the winner of this fight goes onto the world rankings, asserts themselves in those world ranking talks. They surpass British, they surpass the Vidal fights. Isaac Chamberlain wins this. The Vidal and Isaac is only happening because of the demand of viewership. Because they ain't doing it because of ranking. And I'm not saying Vidal can't get there, but he's not there at the moment. So Vidal would have to get up there to fight Isaac. But the money that they'd get from fighting each other would be mental. But other than that, there'd be no benefit rankings-wise and for their career for Isaac to fight Vidal at this point.
Let Vidal grow. Chev Clark makes more sense at British title level.
Chev Clark, Ellis made Chev Clark look a bit poor in that fight. And I think I was talking to Ellis about this. And, you know, his frustration in that fight was more... it wasn't necessarily, I suppose, what went wrong, maybe. I can't remember if those were the exact words he said to me, but what he was saying to me was obviously like, people are saying Chev Clark had a bad performance, but, you know, when you're saying that, he's had a bad performance because his opponent has really done a lot to stop him from doing stuff that he's good at doing. Yeah. And I think Ellis done that with him as well. Obviously, he got Ellis out in the end, but I think Ellis done a lot right in that fight as well. And that is another thing that bugs me as well. And I know if I ask fighters about this, when I spoke to them about the TV stuff and Fran about not going on TV, don't get it twisted. You never ask a boxer, what do you think about it? Because chances are they're not going to answer. It's very political for them to comment on that sort of thing. But I'll give my opinion to them. And I said to Fran, like, it's bollocks. I said to Michael, it's bollocks. I said to Ellis yesterday, like, the commentary was biased for Matsu's fight. That's what I was about to say. Yeah. So I'm not the only one that agrees with that then.
Yeah, I was going to say that. It was poor. It was bad.
And clip this as well and put it up because I think it needs to be heard, like, how biased the commentary was towards Chev Clark in that fight. And I know some people are going to look at this and go, well, you know, Ellis, so you're saying this. But it's not the case. Do you know what I mean? When I spoke to him about... I've spoken to Ellis about a numerous amount of things before privately, not in front of cameras, but privately. And we've had discussions about boxing, etc. So I'm telling you now, the person that I am, I'm not afraid to speak to somebody and give their opinion. Even if I know them or I'm cool with them or I get on well with them. But that commentary in that fight on that Hearn card was biased. And for me, it you know, even when Ellis done a few things that he done right, they still found a negative in what he was doing. But if Chev Clark done something wrong, it was but look, he's done this. And I'm like, do you know what it is? This isn't even a dig at Chev either, because Chev's fighting, he can't control it. But I'm saying the commentary needs to be better because on a lot of these shows, sometimes it can be so biased, but that's the worst commentary I've heard ever in a boxing ring for how biased it was. And yeah, like I said to you, it's just one of them things.
Yeah. It's annoying as well because you're watching and you're like, what I'm watching is I'm watching Ellis Soro use clinching and stuff because he knows the inside fight is a fight he will lose against Chev Clark. That is just how that will go. But at range, Ellis Soro keeps his range and he's keeping the jab going and he's finding Chev Clark and Chev Clark can't do anything. So then Chev's stepping in, Ellis is clinching because that's the best option. Like if Ellis starts trading with Chev Clark, that's not going to go well. Ellis Soro, so he was boxing, I wouldn't say beautifully because beautifully suggests you win, but really, really well, like genuinely well. And then obviously, okay, Chev Clark comes through in the way that he can, but at least give Ellis Soro his credit. It's not going to take away from Chev Clark if you say your performance up to that knockout. And his coaches will tell him the same as well. Or they should.
This is the problem, yeah, and. This is why I could never do that. I know I've done like the interview thing with the fighters, yeah, but this is why this place here for me is the best because I'm too opinionated in the sense of like I won't lie about something I've said to somebody, even if I see them in person, in terms of as a criticism as a boxing fan. Because I do want to say very quickly as well, as a boxing fan, not just because I do media and stuff like that, and we do media, but as fans who pay for the fights or pay to go and watch fights or just watch boxing in general, the fighters go in and put their lives on the line in every fight, no doubt about it. But the money doesn't run without the fans. So it's a sport where, unfortunately, the fighters got to give more and the fans got to give less, maybe in some instances, although ticket prices are a bit of a joke nowadays, depending on if you're going to Vegas, not necessarily a dig at the UK, but Vegas, free, and all these things. But fans, the sport needs fans. And so if you, in turn, will have a fan who watches fights, in turn, they will maybe think or they become an expert of some sort over time, whether you as a boxer like that or not. It's not really down to you. So like I said to you, I think I'm good at this because staying like this sort of thing is me. And when you're interviewing the fighters, sometimes I feel like you have to be quite politically correct. But having said that, there's a few that aren't. Shout out to them, October Red, Fight Fan TV. They're not very political when it comes to this sort of thing. So October will tell people about themselves, trust me. Do you know what I mean? But yeah. Going back to it, we talk about the cruiserweights and just a very biased, how do I put it? Biased commentary, poor from them. Hope I don't hear that shit again. But going back to obviously the fight at the top of the card, which we've taken some limelight away from. I think Isaac Chamberlain wins fashionably with just dominating the fight. I don't think he'll knock Jack Massey out, but he'll win on points.
Yeah, I agree. I think I'm not saying it's going to be comfortable. I think there'll be a slight points could get a little uncomfortable. I suppose with the emotion, Massey could come out quite quick. I think Chamberlain will take control of that. Chamberlain's even though he beat Lawal, he's still very underrated, which surprises me. It's the same with the Vidal Riley fight. That would be throwing Vidal into the deep end way too early. Let him grow because he'll be brilliant.
Yes, sir.
There's no need for those two to fight just yet.
Yes, sir. That's
and then we'll get to the main event. Chris Billam-Smith versus Richard Riakporhe at Selhurst Park. Good fight. I think Riakporhe wins.
I'm going to say it now. Yeah. The midnight train is coming to town and he's coming and he's going to, let's use Isaac Chamberlain's analogy. He's going to be all over him like bolognese on spaghetti.
That was awful. I like Chamberlain. Unreal. That was so bad.
Hilarious. But you know what though? When I talk to people, that know Chamberlain and Isaac and quite a lot of people that are around him a lot, that is him. So I'm told. So that is what he's like on and off camera. So yeah. When do you know what I mean? But yeah, I think Richard Riakporhe, they both had a really close fight when they fought years ago. But I think Riakporhe takes the title, man, and moves on and pushes on. I weren't massively impressed with Billam-Smith in the last fight, just because I feel like he listen, he got a really good shot off, and the aim of the game is to get your opponent out. So I'm not doubting he didn't do that, but if he does what he does against Masternak against Riakporhe, it'd be a very short night for him. In the sense of Masternak, I had Masternak 5 rounds up in that fight before Billam-Smith probably hit him in the rib, but I think he was losing every round. So do you do that against Riakporhe, who's a more sharp, more sort of in their prime, and he'll make you pay. So I just hope that Billam-Smith, one thing he's got his heart, his determination to carry on. It makes for an interesting fight, but I just don't think he does enough to beat Riakporhe. That's not even a London bias as well, because I'm not from South London. That's a whole different country. I've been saying this for time. South London is separate to the rest of London. But nevertheless, Riakporhe, man. Riakporhe take the belts home, which is home for him is probably, it's not that far away, man.
I was going to say, he is home. Yeah, I think so. I don't think Riakporhe will stop him unless it's like a ref stoppage, because I think Billam-Smith's chin's too good for that. But Billam-Smith hasn't looked impressed. Even when he won the title against Okoli, that was a shit fight. Okoli was so bad.
That was a sluggish fight, but Billam-Smith done what he needed to do to win that fight.
True,
I can't knock him for that.
Agreed with that, but I still think there was an opportunity to look a bit better than he did. And then his last fight was, I mean, yeah, he got the job done, but it was poor. It was poor. And then I think Riakporhe comes into this with all the confidence in the world. He's been taking people's heads off and has beaten Billam-Smith in the past. So I'll go Riakporhe by points, possibly a late stoppage, but I don't think so.
Yeah.
And that is everything really that's happened this week and is happening in the next week. So we'll see if our predictions are right by next week, when we've actually got a bit more to talk about. Let's be fair, we still brought this out to about half an hour, which is actually quite impressive given that.
Do you know what else is mad? As we speak, because I'm assuming this episode's coming up pretty sharpish.
Yeah.
This is a good sight to see. I don't know if you can see that. Anyway.
3-0. No, I'm not. It's not a good sight, mate. My mum's half Scottish.
Sorry, mate. I can't. Do you know what it is though? I've always been Portugal, like growing up. So for me, England doesn't bring me the same joy that Portugal do. So that's why I've always deflected from supporting England.
I don't like English fans. I'll be honest. I know I'm technically one of them, but
technically.
I know.
Who do you support, Scotland or England?
I'll be honest. I don't really support either. I want Scotland to do well because I like Scotland. I like Scottish family, everything. Yeah. So I want Scotland to do well always. I support Liverpool. So any Liverpool players I support. Other than that, I don't really give a shit. It's a bit of a weird one, but I don't like English fans at all, man. Not all of them, but a lot of them in the pubs, and you just get like all sorts of stories about like racism, all sorts, and it's like it's just stupid, man. Anyway. 3-0. Yeah. It's a bit annoying. I think my stepdad predicted that correctly. That's going to be annoying. It's going to gloat. Anyway. So that's boxing this week. Thank you very much.
Quiet a couple of weeks, isn't it? On boxing. Well, until this weekend, but last weekend, I felt like I was on holiday. I had nothing to talk about.
No, nothing. And I mean, this week's very good actually. Tank, Riakporhe, everyone. Next week, what have we got? What is the date? 22nd? I can't even remember. But we'll get to that.
Anyway. No, we do need to do. Will we mention this on the next show? I guess so. A bit more.
22nd, obviously.
BXGP, MTGP. You coming?
Yeah.
Wicked. So, guys, just so you didn't know, we're going to be at MTGP, BXGP, which they've now signed a deal with DAZN. So this part of this will be broadcasted on DAZN. I believe 4 hours of the show are broadcasted on DAZN. Then the prelims and the undercard will be on like a pay-per-view stream, which you can pay for. But obviously, you can get down there live as well. Tickets are still on sale. There are 2,000 people in attendance. I went to the last one. They sold it out. This one, they've nearly reached capacity, but they've got some tickets left, I believe. This could change by the time this episode goes up. If it does, just turn up, man, and see if you can get one. Man, big night, big fights, some big profiles getting there. Ellis, we've got Ellis coming down as well, obviously local to the men's, and friends with a few of us on the podcast. So we've got Ellis Zora coming. Conor Benn will be there.
Conor Benn's gone.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I will be interested to see how Greeny leads with that conversation. I've just been outing him every time I mention the name. Greeny, man, you know what you got to do. Make sure you talk the same talk. No, I'm joking. We're gonna listen. Conor Benn's turning up. I'm excited. I like Conor Benn as a fighter, and yeah, like how can you not family name and all that history? And so it'd be good to meet guys like that there. The Hennessy's might make an appearance. I don't know, haven't had confirmation yet, but they might be coming. For you football fans, SE Dons will be in attendance. Big G, George, Flips, and Andrew, or most of you know him as the rapper Don Strapsy, will also be there. Among many other faces, that's just to name a few. Many other faces will be in attendance.
Just a couple there, just a couple.
They're all the ones we're bringing. But there will be a lot of people there.
Yeah.
But the main thing to mention is not the people that are watching, but the people that are putting themselves on the line. You've got 15 boxing matches, 15 Muay Thai fights. Muay Thai is a brutal sport, and the boxing is really high level as well. So, guys, get down. Type in MTGP on Instagram, MTGP on Instagram, Muay Thai Grand Prix. And you can buy links via the tickets in their bio, or BXGP Boxing Grand Prix. Sorry,
there'll be a link to the Instagram in the description as well. Yeah,
yes, and you can buy tickets. And if there's any issues with buying the tickets, contact me on Instagram, and I will help you out, putting you in the right direction for it. All right.
Yeah. Cool. Right. Like, subscribe, description, especially check out BXGP, blah blah blah. And then us two, and he's doing that celebration, which is a Man United thing. So I'm not happy with that, but all right.